My name is Rick Bloodworth. This is the Common Sense Christian Financial Channel. And today we're going to be looking at what the market has done. Today is Thursday, January the 29th of 2026. We're going to look at the market conditions right now. We're going to talk just a little bit about what some of the bigger dealers are now paying for 90% silver. And we're also going to be just talking a little bit about where we have been and certain things maybe to keep your eye out for during the current circumstance that we find ourselves in. Well, what circumstance are we in today? Today, silver set an all-time intraday high, went past this $117.84 top that it had set the other day, but it's well below that right now, so you really can't say that we've broken this top line yet, other than just for a quick cup of coffee and then back down. But here's what the market has done. We opened at $116.55. We went as high as $121.76. And again, that is an all-time record intraday high, and it is so by about $4. So it really smashed the all-time high, but it didn't stay up there very long. It was pushed back down pretty quick. It's been as low as $106.80. And so right now we have an outside day from yesterday. And if you'll recall, outside days are somewhat unusual. They don't occur on a regular basis any more than really the inside days do, but we've been seeing them more and more in the last month or two. But one of the things to kind of keep your eye on an inside day or an outside day, the direction that they close is often a signal for the next day or two. Not always, and it's not always by a big margin, but we had an inside day just a couple of days ago with a higher high than the day before. And so the next day, it wasn't surprising that we went higher, tested the all-time record high yesterday before we came down just a little bit to settle at an all-time record closing high. Today we opened there, and once again we went all the way up nearly to $122 before we fell down to a little under 107. And right now we're in the middle of the range. We're about 2 hours and 10 minutes before the close. I believe the last I checked at 1:50 Central Standard Time, it was about trading at about $114. And so it was $2.50 below where it opened at today, but it's had just a tremendous range. When we talk about 106.80 to 121.76, we're talking about a $15 range. That's massive, but the ranges are getting bigger, aren't they? There's a lot of people who are speculating as far as what the market is going to do right now. As a matter of fact, there's a lot of people who are absolutely certain what the market is going to do, but I can tell you from somebody that has been in this market since 1981, nobody knows for sure because we are absolutely in a different type of a situation. Silver has never done this before, nothing even remotely close. Back in 1980, when the Hunt brothers tried to corner the market, we had a demand that was genuine as far as it was real people buying up the silver, and they were buying physical silver, but it was also certainly somewhat manipulated. There was a couple of guys that were trying to corner the market with some of their partners. They ended up with nearly a third of the world's silver supply outside of government holdings, and so they did a pretty good job. But governments don't like that much competition. They changed the rules, and before you knew it, price was way, way down. So we had some pretty wild swings in 1979, 1980, but we have never seen anything like this. We have gone up and set a record high, as recently, I believe, as September of this past year. And since that time, we've over doubled that amount, and we just seem to keep going up. And so for anybody to say they know what's going on right now, they can't know. We haven't seen this before. I think there's some solid facts that we can look at that would indicate there still is pretty good demand right now. But as far as knowing what that demand is going to do a week from now, much less a year from now, isn't very practical. All we can say right now is, once again, we have set an all-time record high in the silver market. The new one now for the spot market in the U.S. is $121.76. Obviously, if you go over to Shanghai, you're looking at a price that's much higher than that. The Shanghai market is primarily a physical market, and they seem to be setting the standard right now, as well as they seem to be keeping too much monkey business going on at the London Metals Exchange and at the COMEX, because while the LBMA and the COMEX certainly have been the primary influencers of value during my lifetime as far as the price of silver and other metals, that ceased to be the case. Shanghai right now is setting the tone, and as long as they're above our market by significant margins, and it's been about $15 to $20 higher on a daily basis, as long as that is in effect, I think we can say that the market has some pretty strong underpinnings right now. But watch the close today. If we close with a lower high than we did yesterday, there's a chance that we'll continue to go lower for a day or two. But really, I wouldn't get nervous until it breaks the $100 point, if in fact it does that. A lot of people think it will never revisit the $100 mark ever again. They may be right, but remember, we've only been above $100 for 5 days in the history of the silver market. So I would be a little bit cautious to say something will never happen, because very often, as soon as you take that stance, you place too big of a risk on betting that you're right, and it nearly always turns out the opposite way you think it will. Don't be nervous or anything like that. We're still in this range between 100 and 118 as far as where the price is right now. And even though we broke out a little bit, we have not done so as far as settling over that with conviction, a dollar or two higher on good volume. Now, I do want to point out that the volume today is extremely strong. With over 2 hours left on the March futures contract, we have traded nearly 180,000 contracts. That's 900 million ounces of silver. If you'll recall, our average world mining production is about 840 million ounces. So today we have, on the futures market, the March contract, we've traded more in the annual output for the entire world of silver mines. So, and again, I want to mention, on a typical day for the last couple of months, the average trading volume is something around 2/3 of the annual mining supply. So even though this is high, trading at 900 million ounces, it is not completely wild, but a strong day, strong volume, and we have had quite the range, haven't we? Keep an eye on that in the next few days. And again, if we continue to remain between 118 and 100 on the close, well, we've got a little bit of a range that we can kind of gauge things by. It's looking really good this morning. It's down a little bit now, but there's no telling whether it will be up over that mark again by the end of the day, or even below that mark. Who knows? But that's where we are for that. Now, I also wanted to point out some new stresses within the physical retail side of the silver market. Today, I checked JM Bullion as far as what they're offering for 90% silver. I try and do that every day. They were, as far off of the spot price yesterday as about $23 below spot. Today, they are not offering for 90% silver, except for silver dollars and some specialty half dollars. So this is something to keep an eye on. JM Bullion today was not making an offer for 90%, at least not on their advertised prices, and they nearly always have some offer, even if it's ridiculous. The one that really kind of concerns me is SD Bullion. SD Bullion had been pretty good for a long time. They dropped as low as $12 below spot for 90%, but they held that for several weeks. Today I looked, and they are $20.50 below spot on their offer for 90%. So right now, the 90% portion of the market is extremely weak. I saw Vermilion offering a flash sale yesterday where they were selling 90% at $12 below spot. which was about the same as SD Bullion was offering yesterday. But again, I don't know what people are selling it for today. I do know that the one quote that I have seen to buy from the public is over $20 below spot. So there's a softening in an already soft 90% market. We've talked about this before, and may be an opportunity for those of us who like to stack 90%, but it's also a caution. Be very careful not to be paying anywhere around spot for 90% silver until this straightens out, because if you do, you may be very disappointed very quickly. If you bought 90% at spot today and the best national advertised price is $20 below spot, for the big guys, well, that's quite a hit just between buying it now and selling it now. I know you've probably got some local shops that are paying better than that for 90% right now. If they're buying it all, by all means, if you have to sell and you find a better price, I would grab it. I sold quite a bit of 90% just a couple of weeks ago at $12 under spot. The spot difference is significant now, and it looked like a good idea, but I still got quite a bit less than had I just held on to it and sold it even for the 20 under spot today, because the market has risen so significantly. On the other hand, I've gotten quite a few good deals online. Today, I bought a collection off of eBay. It was a nearly full collection of Walking Liberty half dollars. It also had a full collection of piece dollars, including a graded 1928 piece dollar, and of course the 1921 piece dollar within that collection, and then a full collection of Roosevelt 90% dimes, and then some Franklins and some other Walking Liberty half dollars. So I haven't got that in yet, but I did pay, I believe it was about $86 an ounce for that. And if you look at the price of $114 an ounce, that was about $28 below spot for 90%. So there are still some good deals out there. I haven't got it in hand, so I don't own it yet. But if it does come in, it will have been a good bargain, at least for today. And it's collectible coins, some of which have numismatic value on them, including kind of subpar quality 1921D Walking Liberty half, 1916S Walking Liberty half. And if you collect these, then you'll know there's more value there than there is just for melt on that. And so you can find the deals if you look for them. eBay, the nice thing about eBay is they have an absolute ironclad protection policy against fraud. But there's just one example of how you can take advantage as long as you know what the margins are right now. That's the main thing I wanted to talk about today. I've got grandkids coming in just a few hours, so I probably won't have a video up for a couple of days. I wanted to slip one in real quick and give you a market update. Once again, it's Thursday, January the 29th. The next time I talk to you will probably be Sunday or Monday of next week. And as you know, in this silver market, that's a lifetime. So we'll probably have a lot to talk about then. But I appreciate your watching today. If you have comments, please share them. I've seen some of the most intelligent comments within this comment section. I've learned a lot from it, and I imagine if you've been following it, you have too. So thanks so much for those of you who have been sharing your comments. I appreciate your watching today, and I certainly appreciate those of you who have subscribed. But I hope that you have a great day, and we'll see you probably on Sunday or Monday of next week. Thanks for watching.